Young Jewelers has set the standard in diamonds, jewelry, and gifts. You can afford to have a diamond from Young Jewelers. Our friendly staff can assure you of that. And you're always greeted with a smile and a genuine concern for your needs. Whether it's custom design work or diamonds from one of the name brand vendors, a consultation at Young Jewelers will have you feeling confident you've made the right choice. Young Jewelers, located across from City Hall on 19th Street and online at youngjewelers.com.
If you're craving great food in a place that feels just right, it's time to head to Jake's on 4th in downtown Jasper. From stacked made-to-order burgers to hearty favorites fresh off the grill, every dish at Jake's is cooked with care and full of flavor. It's comfortable, relaxed, and always welcoming. Whether you're meeting friends, enjoying a casual dinner, or just want a laid-back spot with great atmosphere, Jake's on 4th delivers every time. Located at 1810 4th Avenue South of downtown Jasper, Jake's is open Wednesday through Saturday with lunch from 11 to 3:30 and dinner 5 to close. Jake's has great food, an easygoing vibe, and it's a place you'll want to come back to. Jake's on 4th, fine dining done the Walker County way.
If you're in the market for a new home, now is the time to buy at Timberline Homes of Jasper. The deals are huge. The down payments are low. A national lender is working with Timberline Homes of Jasper, and down payments on all single-wide homes are as low as $1,500. That's right, down payments as low as $1,500 on single-wides from Southern Homes, True Homes, Epic Homes, and more. See dealer for complete details. Now's the time to buy at Timberline Homes, Highway 78 in Jasper. Telephone 387-1002.
Start your story at Bevel State Community College. Whether you need seamless academic transfer classes, high-wage, high-demand career technical or health science programs, rapid training opportunities that get you into the workforce quickly, dual enrollment or adult education courses, Bevel State is your community college for a quality education. Visit bscc.edu to learn about our convenient and affordable options to make your future visible. Your story starts at Bevel State.
At U Fitness, it's not about fitting into a mold. It's all about finding what fits you. We offer small group fitness classes, personalized training, and massage therapy to help you feel your best. Classes include yoga, Pilates, Zumba, Dance Fit, bar, meditation, and Silver Foxes for active seniors. Join in and unwind with Wind Down Meditation Fridays. With over 40 years of combined instructor experience, you're always in good hands at U Fitness. Visit us at 401 Oak Hill Road in Jasper. U Fitness, where you fit in.
The sound of Walker County on 101.5 is WDXB HD3 Pelham, W286BM Jasper, an iHeartRadio station. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
It's 9 o'clock and we're going live. This is Live at 9 on WJLX with James Phillips, presented by Young Jewelers in historic downtown Jasper. Real talk, real stories, right now.
And welcome in Live at 9 with James Phillips here on WJLX. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning in Jasper, Alabama. And joining me today, I've got Clay Boylen of, let's make sure that I get all the names right. It's Nelson, Bryan, Boylen, and Cross Law Firm in Jasper.
Correct.
You guys had quite the verdict come down. Was it late last week now?
It's not this past Friday, the Friday before.
Friday before. Yeah. And $70 million in a case against Tyson.
Yeah. So Tyson was one of the defendants. The other one was Hydra Service, who's out of, I think, Blount County. They do some stuff all over the Southeast.
Yeah.
So it's two defendants, and Tyson, obviously the big name, and most of that is against Tyson, the way the damages struck out.
Well, and this is something that, just from looking at the reactions that I've seen on social media with all the different comments and stuff that people's made, the Tyson spill really hit a lot of people here and meant a lot with the damage that it caused in the river. And people are, I think the biggest question I kept seeing was, where's all that money going to go?
Yeah.
Well, let's go into the guy that lost his leg.
I think one person said something about the Oakman roads.
Or
something.
Right.
Right. So the guy that had a flesh-eating bacteria that almost killed him.
Right. He probably deserves a little bit. But tell us a little bit about the case and some background on it, and then we'll kind of talk about it a little more.
Yeah. So on it was June 6, 2019. Tyson's plant in Hansville it's called River Valley Ingredients, but used to be owned by American Proteins. And Tyson bought it, I think, within the year prior to that. I don't even think they'd had it a full year, and they ended up having a massive spill of what they call partially treated wastewater. So basically what it is, it's all the parts of the chicken that we don't eat.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is like chicken parts.
Basically, and they'll use it for a few different things. One of them's dog food. Like, they'll make dog food out of it.
Yeah.
And they would take it and put it in this pond where it would basically get eaten up by a bunch of bacteria and go through this treatment process, and then they ended up dumping it in the river once it met certain specifications.
Right.
And so with this, there was a pipe that they'd used some temporary piping because they'd had a spill within a couple weeks before that and had to use hydroservice to get these pipes out. And the pipes actually burst and ended up being, they weren't sure at first, around 220,000 gallons that was estimated ended up in the Mulberry Fork.
Yeah.
And so that was, it killed about 175,000 fish, I think, shortly after, because basically what it did was take all the oxygen out of the water.
Right.
But it and our theory was, because we know the stuff that basically is in chicken, bacteria that ends up in that water, and we would take it, or it would go down river. And where our client, Mark Griffin, was exposed to it, he was a boat repairman who would take boats up and down the river practically every day, at least during the week.
Right.
It would help repair them for whoever brought them to him. And he just kind of a good old boy. If you never met Mark, nice as can be. You'll know him once you meet him. You can't forget him. And he ended up contracting a type of necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating bacteria that specifically turned to Fournier's gangrene, which people that aren't familiar with that, do not Google it.
No.
I would not recommend it.
Don't Google any of those words that he just said.
But it's basically a flesh-eating bacteria of the groin and buttock region.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And so he was in the hospital for a couple months. There was some very graphic pictures that came out in the trial that I don't know.
I can't show those on there.
No, I wouldn't. I don't ever want to see him again. And I'm sure Mark doesn't want people to see him again. But it was, so he actually to this day has an open wound that will never heal. It's healed as much as it possibly can, and because of all this, he got a bone infection called osteomyelitis.
Yeah.
That will also never heal, and he will basically. He said in the trial that the doctor basically told him one day it'll kill him.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't know when, but it'll happen, and so that's where it all. So our whole theory was, that Hydroservice and Tyson both should be held liable here, because there's stuff in the water. I mean, it's all based on, there's federal law, there's state law that says this can't happen. And so we had the case for 7 years and tried it for 4 weeks.
Right.
It was fun, a real fun time. But, for us as attorneys, that is fun. That's what we live for that stuff. But I know it was a long time coming for him. And I think that's the main thing, is we're just happy for him. That and the river. I mean, I think that's the thing that we didn't really even think about, admittedly, at first, is how much of an impact this will probably have on the river itself as a deterrent.
Oh, definitely.
For people not wanting to put that in there.
I mean, if people are seeing a verdict like that,
yeah,
they're going to do everything they can do not to have to pay that at some point. And that's one thing that I think people were so fired up when they saw the verdict, and because they do care about the river so much.
Yeah,
and it almost feels like the things that happened affected so many people on our area of the river.
Yeah.
And our area of the river has really not gotten its just due as far as anything being done.
No, and there's still to this day the number of fish is still not, it still hasn't returned back to where it was.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, something that often gets missed in this too. I mean, this case is about Mark, right? there's some other cases that we have, for that are based on things like property and stuff like that are filed cases that'll eventually progress further, and we'll see what happens with those. But there was a lot of different things that are factored in here as to there's property damage. There's people that lost rental value because they can't rent this out. And then there's, people like Mark that we feel like he, may not be the only one.
Right.
Hopefully he's the only one this happened to. But there was no real testing done or anything for outbreaks or stuff, about it.
Right.
I think there was one for Fournier's gangrene, which is so rare. You're not going to find it in an outbreak. It doesn't happen that way.
Right.
So.
Well, and it's just I know a thing or two about flesh-eating bacteria. I've had that happen. Actually, I've had it happen twice. Most people just know when I lost the leg.
Yeah.
About a year before that, I had it happen on the other foot on a toe. We were in Key West and just got in the water, and a day later, my toe looked like it was going to fall off. But luckily, that one went better than the second one.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Just for his sake, and I mean, his is so much worse. I'm glad they could just cut my leg off and I'm good to go.
Yeah. They couldn't do that with him.
For it to be an open wound the rest of your life, and that's a lot of stuff to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I think if you know anything about Mark, too, I think probably a key point that I left out earlier is Mark's been disabled since around 1990.
Yeah.
He had a really bad car wreck that actually ended up, he was an incomplete paraplegic. So he had some use of his legs, but most of it, he would still use a wheelchair frequently. And he learned how to pull himself up on these boats because it gave him something to do. And so he would take not a whole lot of money, I don't think, to do them. And the quality of work was great because he spent all his time on it. And he took a lot of pride in it. And so he'd already dealt with a lot in life anyway.
Yeah.
And now you have it progressed to where this happens,
Yeah.
and something that he can also never recover from. And so it's a really sad story.
Yeah.
He has the most positive outlook you could have. He's one of the nicest and funniest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But he just, I think that was seeing him in that courtroom, having to sit there every single day, hearing people say things, try and attack his credibility, trying to make him look like, not that it was all his fault, but basically that one thing that came from his own body or something like that. And I think it really is for him he can close the book on that chapter.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really important.
Oh yeah. I think that's the thing that people don't realize when people go through something traumatic, being able to close a chapter is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever the book remains open and the pages aren't written yet, that's the really frustrating stuff sometimes.
Yeah. And so it's funny because Mark, obviously we hear that verdict. I mean, that's a shock because it's nothing like that's ever happened in Walker County.
Yeah. And we haven't mentioned that yet.
Yeah,
it is the largest verdict in the history of Walker County. The one before that was you guys in this same law firm.
Basically same trial team.
And it was $10 million.
Yeah, $10 million. At that time was a case against Walker Baptist. And that, which actually that case, I believe it's the first time in Alabama history that a Hispanic person got over $1 million in a verdict. I'll need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah. And then, but yeah, so this is the second. So we had the, not as a brag thing, we had the only other precedent of a multi-million-dollar verdict, and it was right at 10. So I mean, it just barely met that threshold.
Right.
And so we never expected that it would be, I think, anything like this. But at the same time, this case deserved it. I mean, you could make an argument, that there's no amount of money that's going to change it.
Exactly.
He went through what he went through, and you hear it described as torture, or they wouldn't wish it on their own worst enemy, and stuff like that's set at trial.
Yeah.
And so I think, to have that beat the old verdict by $60 million, but I think that really is one. I think it's a testament to the jury. Probably the most attentive jury you're going to find in a case like this, especially something so complex, dealing with significant medical science stuff that we'd never even heard of before all this.
Yeah.
And if we told you that, we'd be lying because it's just so complicated in how all this works. And it's crazy.
Well, it had to be difficult. I would think going into this, when you're looking at it, is how do we attack this situation? It's got to be difficult to even put him in the water. Like, this is his story to somebody else. You got to prove that it actually happened. Was that what you saw as one of the toughest things going in?
Absolutely. Because he, like I said, Mark, good old boy. He didn't keep business records.
Right.
It just wasn't him. He wasn't out there giving, receipts or anything like that. And so we had nothing that could physically place him on the river. There were no eyewitnesses that were available to testify. We had his wife, Regina, who actually, she said she saw him come home every day. He was wet. I mean, because he'd be on boats all day. And even when he wasn't on boats, he'd be working on them in his shop, where water's coming off the boat. I mean, there's a lot of ways that he got wet. Yeah. But he, I think one of the people that helped him the most was his stepfather, and he had passed away shortly before that day. And he actually, a couple weeks after we say he was exposed, they had a funeral for his stepfather. So, he had cancer, and so we had no witnesses. Yeah. A lot of that was, I think we had to make sure that the jury understood, though, this was somebody who did this for years. This wasn't just some guy that just started doing boats. This was a consistent pattern for years. Never got sick until this happens. And so, it was I think that was probably one of the biggest hurdles. I don't know if it was the biggest. I would say the biggest hurdle was probably specifying exactly how he even got the bacteria, because there was no testing done. And we couldn't go back and test that. This happened. Well, at that point when we had taken Mark's case, all that was done. I mean, anything that was there would have progressed on at that point. At least we still our understanding. And so there was no way to test specifically what he got it from, or there was even competing theories as to how he got it and whether or not it did come from his own body based on the way the infection worked. Right. And so we had to set out to make that point. We felt like we had to find the best experts in the country. Yeah. And I think we did that. I think that sounds probably like hyperbole, but it's not. We really think we found the best ones for this issue. One of our experts was actually. A lot of the science on this is based on what's called QMRA, Quantitative Microbial Risk Assessment, which is basically calculating the chances as to how somebody gets exposure, but dosage, a lot of things that go into it. And we actually found the guy who's considered the father of QMRA, who wrote the entire textbook that people are trained on to be an expert in the case, as well as a doctor who had probably treated this specific issue over 100 times. And felt like it matched ways that he had seen it progress before, and the same doctor that actually he was commissioned by the government to help draft the Clean Water Act. So I mean, we did our research. We felt we had to have that. I mean, we're facing a multi-billion-dollar company, right? And that's not even that doesn't even mention Hydro Service and what they can bring. It's just Tyson alone, and in the courtroom, I think there were probably 10 defense attorneys. Yeah. Which if you've ever been in Judge Barrington's courtroom, it's not very big. Yeah, it's not the largest. There was about half a bench for the public to sit on for the trial if they wanted to come watch. Yeah. And so it was very cramped, and I think that was, that shows the volume of how significant a case it was. When there's that many attorneys in a Walker County courtroom, that's not normal. Yeah. We had 4, and we felt like that might have been a lot. Yeah. So to have 10. And it's one of the biggest law firms in the country, and they're fantastic lawyers. They are. I mean, I don't say anything to disparage them, because I don't mean that at all. They're great lawyers, and they did a great job, I think, with a very, very difficult case that could have gone either way. Yeah. I think we did a great job. And I think, if you put 12 other people up there, it may change it. But this is the 12 that I think we got a really good 12 with the jurors we had that were extremely attentive, and I think deliberated for 3 days and came up with this. And so the verdict actually goes, the $70 million is not all Tyson, right? So it's $25 million in compensatory damages for that would be for, I think, split between Hydro Service and Tyson. So about 12.5 each there. Right. And then $45 million in punitive damages for Tyson, which if people that aren't familiar with what punitive damages are, that's punishment. It's a deterrent. It's designed for conduct to not happen that shouldn't have ever happened. And it's based on what a legal theory called wantonness, which means you basically have a reckless disregard or a willful and conscious disregard for the safety of others. So an injury that would likely occur.
Right.
So going based on that, stuff in the water that we know can be harmful, you have to take all the steps you can to take it. And there were, I could spend all day probably talking about how that happened, and I don't really think it's that important as the fact that it did happen.
Right.
And like I said, I don't think, the plant, there's good people at that plant. I think they had some good people testify. I don't have anything against them. Mark, I'm sure none of us do.
Well, and I don't think anybody purposely wanted to destroy the river.
I would hope not. But, I think, I don't think it was ever their intention. But I think when you're a company like them, right, and that's this plant in Hanceville is actually the largest chicken rendering plant in the country. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
At least the Southeast, but I think it is the whole country. And so you have a special obligation there to take care of, some things. And I think when one of the biggest things that you do that could be harmful is you put stuff in the river. You need to make sure it's clean, and you need to do everything you can to make sure that this doesn't happen.
Right.
And they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And it's that simple.
Yeah. They now, were you shocked by the public response to the verdict?
I don't think I knew exactly what to expect from the public response. We knew there would be one. I mean, it's $70 million against, in a headline that's against a multi-billion-dollar company. And I think a lot of the comments, like I said, the Oakman comment, where's, I think people just assumed automatically it was going to the county.
Yeah.
I think one person said it would be going to Sheriff Smith's campaign.
Yeah. I saw that we may be getting a movie theater.
Yeah, movie theater.
That's
I saw, it's funny because if you actually look at, I think that the radio station's post, and then there was my own post where I shared, there's one comment on it, or a emoji that has like a mad face.
Yeah.
And I figured out that was somebody who was a plant worker.
I was going to say that they work for Tyson.
It was their wife. And so, like I said, I don't have anything against them either, but I thought I was wondering who would be mad at it. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Hopefully nothing happened to that person from this, but yeah.
I thought you guys would probably have a ton of phone calls the next Monday after it came out over the weekend.
It's funny because we had obviously, if you know anything about me, and you do, but I don't wear suits much.
Right.
I hate them. It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
I'll wear them in court, and that's about it. And then, so I wore a suit for a month straight, had to go buy new ones because I just wasn't even ready for that. But we ended up having that next Monday. It's funny because one of my employees, I'd already told him we might get a media response. Just be prepared because this is a major company. This affects a lot of different areas that people might want to cover. And one of my employees had actually said, well, it was 9:30. He said, what do we do if the media calls us? It's 9:30 on the Monday. If they haven't called yet, they may not call, but I guess if they call to send them to me, 5 minutes later we get a call.
Yeah.
And I am not prepared for, like I said, I probably should have been, but I wasn't. Had to go immediately to Birmingham. So I had to go get a suit on again.
Yeah. And
go to Birmingham and do a TV interview for a TV station in Tuscaloosa. I've talked to a few people since then. I mean, obviously I think all the major news stations here covered it. Y'all were the first to cover it.
Yeah.
And the Daily Mountain Eagle, AL.com quickly picked it up.
Yeah.
I've seen it on Yahoo News through AL.com.
Yeah.
And then I've seen it also from a place in Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, Registered Democrat or something like that, which is the Tyson's headquartered in Arkansas.
That's their lead paper in Arkansas. It's the largest paper.
I didn't know that, but
it's based in Little Rock, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've talked to, had a little bit of conversations with some major news organizations. Spoke to someone at Bloomberg. Spoke to someone at the AP.
Yeah.
Someone at News Nation, I think, was the other person I'd spoken to that weren't from here.
Right.
And there was an environmental, environmental reporter that Black Warrior Riverkeeper had actually got me in touch with.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was, like I said, there's been quite a few, and it's funny because I'll see things pop up on places I never expected. Like 2 days later, it was on an Apple podcast that I think was like an AI thing, but the fact that it was even there and picked up. I saw it last night on a YouTube video from some place I'd never heard of ever. So it's funny the places that you don't think about.
Right, and you never know. Once it hits like the Associated Press, because most of the time they're going to take it from our local newspaper and go with it. But once it hits Associated Press, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's no telling who could be using it for news or whatever, Yeah,
they haven't ran it yet.
Yeah.
But if they do, I think that's when we'll I don't know what we're going to do with when that happens. We were already pretty overworked, I think, as it was.
Yeah, definitely.
We wouldn't turn down the business, but I think, I really do. I hope people understand that the magnitude of what we faced there.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it's definitely a David and Goliath situation.
It came out in the trial. Like I said, all this is public record, so it can be talked about. But
before you get going on this, it's the bottom of the hour. Let's take a break real quick, and then we'll come back and talk about that and some other things that the firm has going on, too. So we're going to take a break here on Live at 9. Remind everybody, we're talking to Clay Boylen of Nelson, Bryan, Boylen, and Cross law firm here in Jasper. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor on Live at 9 with James Phillips on WJLX.
Young Jewelers. That name has been a part of Jasper for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, for 3 generations and over 70 years, Young Jewelers has been located in downtown Jasper, striving to earn your loyalty with quality and customer service. Young Jewelers has set the standard in diamonds, jewelry, and gifts. You can afford to have a diamond from Young Jewelers. Our friendly staff can assure you of that, and you're always greeted with a smile and a genuine concern for your needs. Whether it's custom design work or diamonds from one of the name brand vendors, a consultation at Young Jewelers will have you feeling confident you've made the right choice. Young Jewelers, located across from City Hall on 19th Street and online at youngjewelers.com.
Start your story at Bevel State Community College. Whether you need seamless academic transfer classes, high-wage, high-demand career technical or health science programs, rapid training opportunities that get you into the workforce quickly, dual enrollment or adult education courses, Bevel State is your community college for a quality education. Visit bscc.edu to learn about our convenient and affordable options to make your future visible. Your story starts at Bevel State.
Carl Cannon, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Corridor X, and Jasper. We're more than just a new car dealer. We're a certified pre-owned dealer, too. As a used car dealer in Jasper, we have access to a wide variety of used cars from across the area. As a new Buick, Chevy, Cadillac, and GMC dealer, we have the latest models that GM provides from 4 amazing brands. Let us show you around our dealership. With so many options, we're sure you'll find what you're looking for. Browse our inventory online at carlcannon.com. When other dealers can't, Cannon can. Carl Cannon, Corridor X at Industrial Boulevard in Jasper.
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Martin Roberts, owner of Jasper Veterinary Clinic. 3 years ago when I set out to open my own clinic, Pinnacle was my bank of choice to help that dream become a reality. Recently when we needed to expand and had the opportunity to acquire property adjoining to ours, I made one call to Wayne and he set those wheels in motion. If you have banking needs, give Pinnacle a call.
Hello everyone, I'm Drake McKenzie from All South Land and Timber. We have been banking with Pinnacle Bank for over 25 years. The customer service at Pinnacle Bank is first class. We highly recommend banking with Pinnacle Bank for all of your financial needs.
I'm Robin Reed Allen, Chairman of the Board of Pinnacle Bank. Come see our team and make Pinnacle Bank your bank too.
Pinnacle Bank, member FDIC.
If you're craving great food in a place that feels just right, it's time to head to Jake's on 4th in downtown Jasper. From stacked made-to-order burgers to hearty favorites fresh off the grill, every dish at Jake's is cooked with care and full of flavor. It's comfortable, relaxed, and always welcoming. Whether you're meeting friends, enjoying a casual dinner, or just want a laid-back spot with great atmosphere, Jake's on 4th delivers every time. Located at 1810 4th Avenue South of downtown Jasper, Jake's is open Wednesday through Saturday with lunch from 11 to 3:30 and dinner 5 to close. Jake's has great food, an easygoing vibe, and it's a place you'll want to come back to. Jake's on 4th, fine dining done the Walker County way.
Hey, this is Nick Norris from The Game Managers. Every Friday afternoon at 6 on WJLX, Patrick Hanna and I break down the news of the week in sports. From local high school games to the biggest moments in college and the pros. No hot takes for clicks, just sports news. real analysis, and the conversations you actually want to hear. If you like sports as much as us, then make the Game Managers part of your Friday nights. We'll see you there.
The sound of Walker County on 101.5 is WDXB HD3 Pelham, W286BM Jasper, an iHeart radio station. Listen on the free iHeart radio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good.
You're listening to Live at 9 with James Phillips, presented by Young Jewelers on WJLX.
All right, we're back here on Live at 9 with James Phillips. Joining me this morning, we got Clay Boylen of Nelson, Brian, Boylen, and Cross. I got to go back, especially now that you've changed the name again.
Yeah, it's changed a few times over the years.
Yeah. I still call it Nelson, Brian, and Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were talking before we went to break about how this case against Tyson and the verdict you guys got, it was such a David and Goliath kind of thing with, it's just your guys' small firm in Jasper teaming up with a little bit larger firm in Birmingham, but not anything, we're not talking about a nationwide group here.
No.
Against Tyson
by
Foods,
no means.
Who is I'm sure a $1 billion industry.
Yeah. I mean, they could fly people in from other places.
Right.
I know there was a specific attorney.
You were struggling to put gas in the car.
Basically, they'd fly. I'd be going home and then having to work again with my kids.
Right.
I mean, it's a very different situation. But it doesn't mean, like I said, they're great attorneys. I mean, they are, and you can tell they're very experienced with this. They know what they're doing. They're also very nice people. And I think, that's why I don't say anything to disparage anything that the lawyers at Bradley Arant did or the lawyers for Hydro Service did.
Right.
I think they're people that, we're as attorneys, we do a job, right? We're hired to do a job, and our job is to do the best we can for our client. Both ethically, contractually, we have a lot of different reasons to do that. And our reputation, I think, lawyers don't have the best reputation across the country. And I think that's something that I hope that reputation kind of changes a little bit, and I hope this can play a part in that. It was a David and Goliath situation. I don't think I think that's fair to say, and if they wanted to, they could outspend us no matter what. Yeah. Right. There's a lot more risk for us on this side of the aisle than there is for them, and if they lose, specifically for their law firm, they get paid by the hour.
Right.
We don't. We get paid on contingency, meaning we have to win.
Wins and losses.
And we front the expenses. So if we lose, we lost all that money. Right. And nothing, we get nothing out of that outside of 7 years of work that we can't get back. Right. And so we have to make sure that we're doing everything that is crossing our T's and dotting our I's there. And,
well, I think a lot of people don't realize that this is 7 years of work.
Yeah.
It's not like, boom, we're having a trial and nothing else has been done leading up to this.
Yeah. Once the spill came out, I think we started taking cases the next day, if not that day. I mean, for a solid month, all I did was meet with potential clients about that.
Right.
And so, because I can go back and look at my calendar and still see all those notifications pop up or search it and see what all was there. And literally, it was a whole month. That's what we did basically all day. It was meet with clients. And so we learned a lot about, the perception of the river and we learned a lot about how much it meant to people, and learned a lot that, a lot of people felt like they may have been injured. Because at the time, a lot of the theory was the water tasted bad, and people thought it was the Jasper Waterworks. And we know now that they did nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing at all. We don't have anything. We'd actually sued them at first in that as well and dropped them. We realized that it's not them. So for anyone who thinks that, it was never the Waterworks. Okay, right. The water did not make you sick.
And that was the time when everybody was saying the water tastes like dirt.
Yeah, so they actually had to release a statement, I think, at the time saying that it smells bad, but basically it's okay. It's not going to hurt you. Yeah. And it did taste, people said it tasted like dirt.
And it was odd because some people could taste it, and I never could taste it.
Yeah.
And most people in my house couldn't, but one of my daughters could taste it.
Yeah.
And she was saying it was awful. Even using ice from our ice maker, she would say that this tastes terrible.
Yeah. So there was a big issue in the trial related to that about something called turbidity, which basically that you can measure the turbidity of water, and it's basically how dark the water is. And the higher the turbidity, the more likely that pathogens and stuff like that can grow. It can be a little misleading because the turbidity of milk is like really high. Milk's pasteurized, it's clean, right? So, but it's very thick. Like it's not. So yeah, bacteria could easily grow there, but normal turbidity of like a glass of water or something like that is maybe a little less than 1, I think. For human sewage, turbidity is around 200. And the turbidity of the wastewater that was released into the Mulberry Fork was over 11,000.
Wow.
And so like when people understand that was the whole argument of, because there was a lot of, one of the bigger things I think we faced of, did the river even cause us injuries? And, obviously we feel like it did. The jury felt like it did. And Mark definitely felt like it did.
Right.
And he has most experience of anyone there that was involved in the trial with the river.
Been in that water.
And he's lived on it,
Yeah.
his whole life for the most part. And so even before, he started working on the boats, he loved to be on the river. He lived over by the river.
Yeah.
His mom had like a house, I think, that was right there. And so he grew up on the river. And I don't think people really realize, exactly what went in.
Right.
And that there was the Jasper Waterworks in the trial. One of the pieces of testimony was that they had used, I think, the highest chlorine levels they'd ever had to use. In at least the guy that testified said his entire history there.
Yeah.
Just to clean that water. And so there were a lot of different things that I think helped turn the case our way. And I think we focused on real world data. And I think that was a theme of the trial, was real world data, because the real world data showed something happened and something was wrong.
Right.
And, we could never specifically prove that something came from this, and especially in a river, right? Rivers can carry bacteria. We get that.
Right.
But I think the common sense approach to it is, this happened on the 6th. He gets exposed probably around a week or so later. It turns into an infection, and he goes to the doctor towards the end of the month.
Right.
And none of that ever happened until this happened.
Because he had been in there before.
Right.
I'm sure he had exposed skin before and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, none of that ever happened. Yeah, none of it ever happened. And so that, I think, was probably if you ask the jurors, they might probably tell you the same thing. I've talked to a couple of them since then, which we can do after trial and do frequently. And that was a big thing for them. I think that's just you can break down all the complicated and get to the simple, and that's the simple.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you talk to a few of them, what did they say was, if there was one thing that turned it in your direction? Real
world data.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's it, is seeing that stuff and actually when it hits your community and you realize this is something that none of this is covered in the news, right? This is all stuff that comes out later. And so this is stuff that everyone in there is hearing for the first time. And a lot of people had heard about the spill anyway. I was going to say, most of the jury pool probably had heard of the spill. It'd be impossible to not.
Right.
But I think they looked at it, my understanding, they were pretty objective. I mean, they were fair, and I don't think it was for us the whole time, you know, and I think that's a key thing that, trials can go back and forth, and if you ever watch the trial, there's pieces of evidence that come in, there's pieces that, hurt you, and then you have to figure out how to fix that, how to get in front of that. And I think this case was probably the poster child for that. Right. Because there were so many things on both sides, because it's so complicated and complex. But in a criminal case, you have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, right? That's why people think like the OJ case and stuff like that. The glove doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah.
You can't, if you couldn't prove it, then it doesn't. And I use OJ for an analogy because in a civil case, OJ sued for $30 million and found liable. Right. And in this case, in a civil case, the standard is it more likely than not? So 51% to 49%. That's where the scales of justice come in.
Yeah.
Which way does the scales move? It ain't down here, right? So I think that, when we felt like we had the stronger case when it came down to it, and they had a strong one too, And so I think it's probably something that I think most attorneys chase for their whole life, right? To have it at 32, I'm extremely blessed.
Right.
You know, it may be a blessing or a curse. I may look at it one day and say, yeah, I might be chasing this for forever and may never be able to reach that again. And honestly, I hope I don't. And that sounds weird, but that means somebody got really hurt for that to happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think you know my heart on that. We've had discussions before about, you know, because mainly what we do is disability cases. And I think you really have to have a heart for people to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
Well, you have to almost be a counselor as
yeah,
far
you
as
do. Yeah.
a therapist and a lawyer at the same time.
Stuff they don't teach you in law school,
right,
I can tell you that much.
You've had to deal with that with me, of course.
Well, that's, you aren't the only one and won't be, and that's okay, because it's, you know, with those types of cases, and I try to make sure our staff understands this, and you know, Dave can attest to it, or I say, we deal with people, and everyone we treat with that, whether we take the case or not, these are people that are coming to us because they don't know where else to turn. They're at a point in their life where they have no idea, you know, what they're going to do. They have no money, or even if they do have money, they're struggling because it's not what they had before.
Right.
They obviously feel like they can't work, and they're trying to get their own money. The government's telling them they can't have it yet. Or if it's people that are just now applying, will likely be told that.
Right.
And so you know, I think me being able to be involved in a case like this with someone involving who's already disabled, I think was even more special to me.
Right.
Because I got to see finally a resolution that actually felt like it could really make that much of a difference.
Yeah. He's disabled, but somebody told me he did a cartwheel in the... No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
he was just happy at the end of the day. He wanted a new wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he can get a new wheelchair.
That's awesome.
And so it's nice to know that a family is taken care of and they don't really have to worry like they did before, you know? And I hope it takes a lot of stress off of his wife, who, you know, is having to work and make that income. Yeah. Being disabled as early as he was, he doesn't get much money. Right. You know, and I don't, you know, not going to say how much he gets, but he doesn't get that much, especially with inflation.
Right.
Even with cost of living adjustments every year, it's not going to be enough to sustain.
Right.
You know, and so they, I think, thankfully they've been able to live. Thankfully, he has Medicare after being disabled for 2 years, eligible for Medicare. So I think was taken care of, and I think he was content. But now because he made a point of, and mentioned this to me at one point in the trial, and I don't think he'd have a problem with me saying this. He's pretty open.
Yeah. And
he said, because we were talking about, you know, how long things could take, and at one point he said, you know, in 3 years I might be dead.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, it's similar things you've told me.
You're right.
Yeah. And so, and we don't know. And it's when things are that speculative, I wanted him to be able to get something.
Right.
And so to have the verdict we had, I think was even more of a blessing.
Well, you know, I think it's great for him because of the way you said, with the stress involved of just, you know, day-to-day life, it can be really difficult.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's fought through a lot of adversity in his life.
Yeah.
So good news is always good news.
It is. Yeah. And we'll take that good news every time.
Right.
Know?
Now, in your research for this trial, have you found anyone else that something similar has happened to, or
no?
Yeah.
Nothing. And I think we would be shocked if we did.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah. It's such a rare disorder.
Yeah.
Necrotizing fasciitis is not that common.
No, it's
but you've seen it a few times, but never seen this before ever. And it happens. But any doctor that, you know, there's some very experienced doctors that testified in the trial, and they'd only seen it. You know, I said the one may have treated it 100 times, and I think that's a high number for somebody in the country to treat something like this. And there's another doctor out of Homewood that testified. He said he'd maybe seen it 25 or 30 times, I think.
Yeah.
And a doctor at UAB who's an infectious disease doctor who said she'd maybe seen it around that much. So people that are in this don't see it much.
Right.
Right. You wouldn't expect an outbreak of it because it's not how it happens. Not every person that gets
and everybody's
going to
body
progress to that.
is different. And
yeah.
With him having past health issues,
right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think he's more susceptible to it. He's exactly the type of person that you would be worried about getting something like this.
Right.
And met a lot of the risk factors, being a man, age, paraplegic is a risk factor.
Yeah.
And so for sure, I think he is the prototype for the person who could get 4-neurogenic gangrene.
Right. Now, anything else going on with the law firm? We've got a few more minutes left, about 5 minutes. So
yeah. So as far as we don't have anything like this coming up, I can tell you that. Outside of the class action that's still pending, but we have most of what we do is obviously we do other types of personal injury cases. We do car wrecks, slip and falls, workers' compensation, products liability. We had the big 3M multi-district litigation where we had some other attorneys we were involved in that all kind of partnered up, and we had about over 2,000 clients in that were veterans.
Yeah.
With an earplug case against 3M, and we do some of that. I don't think we'll ever have one that large, but so we don't do a whole lot of that, but we'll absolutely look at cases like that. But most of what I do in general is disability, whether that be Social Security disability, VA disability for veterans, or railroad disability.
Yeah.
And so most of that is probably Social Security disability. Anybody knows Pat Nelson? He did that for 50 years, right?
Yeah.
He's the guy that everybody, for disability. And I was thankful to be able to learn under Pat and Bob for that. And I think I've tried to take it since I became a partner, and I kind of run that area now of I want to build on their legacy and make it better for them, not just for me, and to keep growing their name, because they're the ones that started it. They're the ones that should get that credit. And so what I did is most people don't know this because I don't just take cases in Alabama. I do Social Security or all types of disability all over the country. And so we probably have clients in close to 30 states.
Wow.
We're not just a local law firm.
Yeah.
We are for cases like personal injury cases and stuff like that where we have to be licensed here. But for that, it's administrative law, and we do it all over the country. I've got clients in California, New York, a few in Virginia and North Carolina. I have one in Washington, Wyoming, literally all over the country.
Right.
And so I probably, between all the disability cases, I probably have around 600 cases that we handle, that I handle every one of them.
Yeah.
Thankfully, our staff is, I think, the best staff you're going to find. I don't think you'll find better.
The staff they do a great job and always friendly and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to you immediately. They do a fantastic job.
We're people.
Yeah.
Right. And we, I think we know where we're at. We know where our home is, and we want to take care of that. And we want to, unfortunately, Walker County, Winston County, Marion County, are places where there are a lot of people that are disabled, a lot of hardworking people, right? Yeah. It's funny, we're a conservative area, but we're also a union area, right? We're a very unique place. And so I think, and my family, my family's from West Virginia. Everybody and their brother, including my family, is coal miners. That's the whole reason I'm here. Is my dad was a coal miner.
Yeah.
And so my family's been here since the 90s, but I was born here. They weren't, and so this is my home.
You're an actual citizen of Walker
I was
County.
Born in Walker Baptist.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's
we wouldn't claim your parents.
No. But they love it here. I mean, they've embraced it here, and they're, so knowing that that's what my whole family did that. Hearing the stories, I want to, we have a lot of people that are factory workers, a lot of people that are coal miners, steel workers, railroad workers is a big one here. There's all kinds of different industry. Apparently newspaper people and radio people can get injured.
Yeah, they can.
So I think it's something I take personally, and I take a lot of pride in. So to be able to do that all over the country and to see, I'm pretty faith-based. What God's blessed me with is incredible to take. We probably took, the first year we started doing that, we've only been that way for a couple of years, maybe 200 additional cases in a year. And we started our VA practice last year, and same thing nationwide. We've got over 200 cases in a year, and we're growing at such a rate that it's incredible. And so I'm not going to say that I'm a better attorney than anybody else in town. Right. I'm not going to tell you I care more, but I hope I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because we have some fantastic attorneys in this town, and I hope they're listening to this, because they are. There's some really, really good ones. And people need to understand that we're really blessed with what we have here. Not just, I don't sit here and just say that about us.
Just
right?
name off the ones that aren't any good.
I will not do that. I think the public usually finds those out.
Right.
Pretty
Well,
quick
but
for themselves.
it really is a great it's a great place to find a good lawyer in Jasper. Everybody is by the book, handles things the way they should for the most part, and just great people that care about the people of Walker County.
Yeah.
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 And you guys especially are at that level. You know?
Yeah, and I think that, and probably shouldn't do this because it hurts my business, but I'll do it anyway. There's one of the attorneys that was local counsel for Tyson in this case was Nick Sparks.
Yeah.
Nick's an incredible guy. One of the nicest people, funniest people you'll meet.
Oh yeah.
Did a fantastic job in the trial. Right. A loss and something like that does not reflect them as an attorney.
Right.
Right. And so that's something to where I know he wanted to win that. But I think he's a great person. I think he's a great lawyer.
Yeah.
And I think, he represents his clients well. So like using that as an example, I don't care if he gets business because he deserves it.
Right.
I don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
I don't, it ain't us against everybody else.
Right.
I think we're here to help people.
Right.
And that's what I hope we do every day and what we strive to do every day.
Yeah.
So,
what's the best way for people to contact you guys? What's the website?
So the new website, there's two ways they can get to it. The easiest way is going to be nbbclaw.com.
Yeah.
That's the short way
Right.
of getting there.
Yeah. Or just make a phone call to, 205?
205-387-7777.
Just keep hitting 7 after you.
Yeah, I'll give you Dave's personal number. So
Yeah, can we get Dave's cell phone number? And
yeah, so
I do want to say,
everyone can call
there's
Dave.
Dave back there. You can see him now. I want to say, because people probably saw you in the background looking like you're about to kill me or something back there.
Trying to sneak up on
And,
Dave's my hitman.
Dave Pridmore, he works with the law firm in a variety of different ways. They couldn't get anything done without Dave, I think.
Well, don't tell him that. I have to pay him more.
Yeah, I know.
So we have to be careful there with how
trying to help you, Dave.
we talk about Dave. I need his ego down, not up.
Right.
We're all on the same team.
Hey, tomorrow I'm going to have somebody that's one of y'all's neighbors on the show. Dustin Beatty's going to be in.
Yeah,
tell everybody that
I think
we're going to
what'll
be
be
talking
our favorite neighbor here pretty soon.
Yeah,
when Taziki's
he's
up.
going to be talking about Taziki's, and I mean I cannot wait for them to be open.
And I drive by there a lot just to see how much progress they've made. It's one of my favorite places to eat.
Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I appreciate Clay and Dave coming in. And be kind and love until tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on Live at 9 with James Phillips on WJLX.